Warmind Rasputin, who is Jarvis's cooler older brother from Marvel, savior of humanity. Versus Sentient Cruiser Hunhow, leader of the Sentients, runner of Fades, menace of all, and destroyer of worlds. Who, between these two nightmares to the universe, wins a versus battle? Let's find out.
I am Hunhow, sentient destroyer of worlds. By your hand, expose their heart. By my edge, cleave it beating from its nest.
Before we begin this analysis, I would like to say a few things. First and foremost, the majority of people who watch my content are newcomers, whether to my channel or to power scaling in general. Maybe they watch Dragon Ball, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. Maybe they played Expedition 33. Maybe they watch DCU Superman. Or maybe they watch Blue Beetle. Or maybe they watch Marvel What If MCU stuff. Regardless, a lot of new people interested in this stuff want to learn about power scaling. So the goal of my content will always be to foster communication between multiple groups of people who power scale. A couple years ago, I made a video on this particular topic. However, I've revised my standards since then, taking into account criticisms I've seen people give me, and issues I had with myself at the time. Also, it's been 2.5 to 3 years for both verses. Both Destiny and Warframe has really changed their lore in a lot of ways, and at the same time, they still established the fact that these two characters are utter and complete freaking monsters who can annihilate 99% of their verses. On my last point, following from all the ones that I established earlier, I want to make this clear. This is an objective-based analysis. I will be measuring the power levels of both characters by using their cosmologies, because they can destroy everything in their cosmologies. So we have to use that for the metric for both sides, regardless on your opinion of microtransactions, Prime kits being like $99 or $140 or it costing way more in other countries. I played Destiny and Warframe religiously, zealously even. You could even say I'm addicted to some degree. I couldn't even deny it. However, I can also say both have their own issues. But that doesn't really impact the lore of the power scaling involved. Your opinion about the companies in question and their moral or ethical fiber is different from the stories presented within the respective verses. That is to say, while I agree with a lot of criticisms regarding Bungie's management, I'm also aware of the fact that Destiny is very lore-rich in the same capacity as Warframe is. For stats, there's some give and take as it's a little messy. For both Destiny and Warframe, I provided cosmology details on the screen in relation to both characters. You can add, modify, and take away particular details for both sides. However, the end conclusion is the same. Destiny objectively has more to work with in the cosmology. This does not mean Rasputin completely wins stats, however. Rasputin is an AI. He has to use technology. So the stuff like the Warsats, the Seraph Station, the Traveler copy knockoff Death Planet thing, Abhorrent Imperative Loki Crown, all that stuff will work on stronger characters than Hunhow, and they have the firing speeds, as well as the overall movement speeds to blitz. But there's one issue. The mainframes themselves have very terrible durability. So your Charlemagne's, your Malahayatis, your Callus bots, you name it, dog water durability. Just complete and utter garbage. So if the sentients get a hold of a Braytech facility, or just blow up a planet for some reason, then that submine is screwed. Rasputin has to send his consciousness to another mainframe on another planet. On the other hand, Hunhow is a walking tank. He outscales all Necromechs, all Tenno, all the Grey Strain, all the Narmer, all the Murmur, definitely Isleweaver, and other such stuff that I've brought up or not brought up yet. The bottom line is, this dude is gargantuan, he has the toughest armor, and as the top sentient, he has the most potent sentient physiology, which is much more exaggerated than the rest of the faction, who's already hard enough to kill as is. Point made on Hunhow? Don't screw this man, don't downplay him, he's above the Grey Strain. Alright, cool, we're all caught up.
I know. Clovis built me to be a weapon, to destroy my designated targets. But you taught me to be something more. A shield, a protector, a guardian. He gave me form, he gave me function. But you gave me purpose. Please help me fulfill that purpose now. Let me save humanity.
Moving on to hacks, we'll begin with Rasputin. Rasputin is an AI interplanetary defense system. He is known as the War Mind. In order to optimize his functions and surveillance of the entire solar system, Rasputin has these things called subminds. Subminds are Rasputin himself, while taking on an independent personality that still follows the protocol's commands and controls of the original Rasputin. There is thousands upon billions of these subminds, all over the solar system, just watching it. Each submind performs a set of functions and can independently take action, like sending out warsats, sending out information, or doing independent analyses. The submind in detail then sends this information to the original, or Rasputin. So Rasputin knows what's going on with his subminds and what they're dealing with at virtually all times. For the warsats themselves, they're interesting. They have a type of material where if you hit the warsat, it stores damage. And if the warsat hits you, it throws all that damage back at you. So if a warsat were to run into you, you'd be smacking the warsat, charging it, and simultaneously it would be hitting you, releasing that energy. Not only that, but warsats still one-shot the main character and any other guardian at all times. Just any regular old warsat, just boom, one-shot's a guardian. That's it. Easy peasy. And of course, there are multiple kinds of these warsats. Some of them fire lasers. Some of them are meant to crash on a planet purely just for information's sake, so that you can extract information from it and then have it sent off to the last city. Some warsats are made specifically to run into targets at specific times, and some other warsats are made just to push things when needed, when you need some force. And of course, that also means some other warsats are made explicitly for the purpose of ending lives. Here's the horrifying part. Any plain old warsat, from the weakest to the most potent of warsats, all have durability negation. They just don't care if you have shields, resistances, immunities. Nah, they don't care. They just run into you, and you're like butter. That's it. You're gone. For this next hacks, it'll be somewhat difficult to understand, so I'll try to simplify it. Let's say Rasputin gets taken out at some place. He gets caught slipping and that's it. He's gone. He's out of the picture. He's no more. All the submines will still exist. And all the submines have a protocol to send data over to Rasputin, and he'll simply come back from the dead. He'll simply manifest somewhere else. That's it. No biggie. No problem. I refer to this as data-based immortality. To be clear, Rasputin can simply send his consciousness to other installations throughout the solar system, if not the universe. So he can move his consciousness from place to place. He's not limited to simply one planetoid. That's why his data-based immortality is terrifying, because it lets him simply resume his agenda from before, deal with a problem that's in his way, and then just get back to work as normal. I don't know about you, but that sounds like one of the most annoying hacks I would ever run into in a fictional debate. Oh, and just to put the cherry on top, Rasputin is casually within the top 10, if not top 5 most intelligent Destiny characters, ignoring the Gardener, the Winnower of course. So, that's neat.
The same as you. To raise the dead. Only they have the power to do it. Unlike you. You are just as incomplete as she is. No metal beasts. No void fury. They will snap you in half and plant a veil on your face.
Not if you help me.
Help you? Of course. What are friends for? Let me explain what you are up against, friend. You see, the Archons were made by my son, Era.
For Hunhow, it's something of an odd issue. He doesn't have much in the way of hacks because we haven't seen what he does. We know he's the most powerful and potent sentient, but that doesn't entail an explanation of what his abilities are. So for the sake of the video, we will make a certain assumption about his powers, which is he has every sentient-based ability, and coupled with his status as the top guy, literally crapping on everything inverse, besides Man in the Wall, he has to be really potent in terms of hacks.
I beg your pardon?
If it turns out that he doesn't have every sentient power in the future, and we're told this in a year or two, so be it. We'll just revisit Hunhow again, and we'll continue on from there. On the topic of sentient adaptation, let's define that clearly. If you do damage to a sentient, you do less damage to them with your following attack. You eventually just do 1 hit point of damage. Maybe even 0, not even a full 1 hit point of damage. The gameplay suggests that it can cap, but nothing in the lore directly says that the sentient adaptation can cap. If someone has a statement for that, do let me know, but I haven't found such a thing in my research. Furthermore, the only way to circumvent this adaptation is if you do damage of another type. So, say you're doing blunt force trauma. Okay, now you need to change things up and, I don't know, use radiation, or viral, or fire, or ice, or gas.
I beg your pardon?
Whatever you have on you, you have to make sure to change up all your damage types over time as you're fighting that person. Just so you do not trash damage. Moving on to the really painful part, which is the assumption I'm making intentionally, which, admittedly, could also just be fanfiction. We're not sure. But since Hunhow has every ability of the sentience, that means he can do projectile damage, which has durability negation. He can do the same thing with melee-based attacks, which the sentients use energy weapons as well, so that's also durability negation. He can fly, summon other sentients. Hunhow has casually stated that he's the destroyer of worlds, so that means he has environmental destruction, meaning he can blow up planets that are in his way if he so chooses to. Which, again, you could say is an assumption. Hunhow is wise and an extremely brutal tactician, because he's older than your 90-year-old grandma's pair of shoes. Oh, and the sentients are supreme hackers, so your Minecraft server isn't safe anymore.
I am Hunhow, sentient destroyer of worlds. By your hand, expose their heart. By my edge, cleave it beating from its nest.
Art, literature, history, philosophy, music. Where Clovis saw a weapon, Anna saw a mind ready to be opened. I came to see the true value of humanity. As fragile as it was wondrous. Something worthy of protection at any cost.
So, who wins? First, let's start off with hacking. I don't think any of them are going to take hacking. Reason being, their technology is too similar on the high ends. It'd be like one chess grandmaster trying to one-shot or get around the attention of another chess grandmaster. It ain't happening. In terms of IQ, I definitely think Rasputin wins. He has more IQ feats in general than Hunhow, and his IQ scaling is much more intact and easy to prove. Whereas say with Hunhow, you have to make a few assumptions about him. This isn't to discredit Hunhow, but rather to criticize DE somewhat for their lack of fleshing out Hunhow, which they really should fix. On another note, the SIVA. Rasputin made the SIVA virus, which is a nanomachine virus, and it's potent enough to kill even Guardians. Even beings who are on the same level as gods themselves, or celestial beings by today's terminology. The SIVA can take all of them out. This does include hacks, not just the ability to harm the target. Hunhow does not have a resistance against the SIVA virus. Rasputin can deploy it at any time, start with mere foot soldiers, and then have them infect Hunhow directly, or simply infect the chain of command up to Hunhow. Hunhow doesn't have a counter for the SIVA virus specifically. Lastly, I think the main reason that Rasputin can beat Hunhow is because of the Loki crown. The Warsats themselves can harm Hunhow, and while they might not be able to defeat him individually, when put together, using the Loki crown blast, that is definitely strong enough to overpower Hunhow's durability. That being said, Hunhow does have to somehow track and follow Rasputin from planet to planet in order to keep him on the back foot, and I don't see him traveling around the entire solar system just to hunt down Rasputin and do so efficiently at that. I think Rasputin, using a combination of his intellect, the Warsats, and the SIVA virus, can come up with a trap innovative enough to keep Hunhow in place so that the Loki crown can arrange and fire. The problem with saying Hunhow wins comes down to the fact that you have to argue that he can hack Rasputin, But that doesn't work because all the anti-feats people argue are from when Rasputin is already dead, or is impaired in some way, or has no way to fight back. So you can't argue hacking, and you can't argue that he's gonna blow up an entire solar system in like 5 seconds, because we definitely know he doesn't have the area of effect possible for that. Otherwise he would have done it already. So that leaves us with a one-on-one that happens in the physical universe. And in the physical universe, because Rasputin takes attack potency, durability, IQ, and arsenal, that should give him the win, mid to high diff. That's everything I wanted to cover today. Truth be told, there was a lot more that I could have brought up. However, I didn't want to overcomplicate the fanbase, and especially the newcomers, with too much information. The goal of my content at the end of the day is simply to give you a way of getting into the power scaling community. Enjoy yourself. If you have a different opinion, cool. We're just here to talk about facts, and if something is subjective enough to be talked about, also cool. If you agree with my message, please help me out by sharing the video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.